So this is the first of a series of stories of resilience that we're going to be doing, and we're starting with the beautiful Stacy today. And we're just going to be sharing. We all go through junk and stuff in our life, but it's the way that we go through it and the way that we react to it and respond to it that makes us resilient. So she's been generous enough to share a portion of her story with us tonight. And that's something that I think is so powerful that we could all walk away with some nuggets of wisdom from. So I'm going to give you a little space to introduce yourself, and then we'll get
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Stacy, and I'm from a little island in Asia called Singapore. I think many of you know about Singapore from Crazy Rich Asians, right? I'm not a crazy rich Asian. I'm not rich. Maybe crazy. Anyway, I mean, the topic that we're going to be talking about is resilience, and the topic of resilience was actually something very new to me. I only discovered it in 2017. That's when I enlisted myself in the School of Positive Psychology here in Singapore. And I actually attended a 2-day workshop on resilience with Dr. Iona Bonnewell. Yes, okay. I have to say her name right. And that's when, I started to understand resilience as a strength and how to spot that in everyday life, because it is a strength. It is key. It is something that goes unnoticed also if you don't know what you're looking for. Yeah. Okay. I talked too much. I had a lot of coffee.
No. Okay, so yeah, that starts to touch on a little bit of my first question is, what does resilience mean to you? So if you were to define it in your own words, how would you define resilience?
Right. Okay. So resilience is if you Google it, right? So it says that it's the affable quality of being able to get back up from life when you've been knocked down. But because I'm more of a visual romantic person, every time I hear the word resilience, then I think about riding on a horse. Somehow I have this image of riding on a horse. And then while we're riding down on the beach, something will happen, like the horse will have some kind of knee-jerk reaction or some sort, and then I'll get knocked off, and then I'll end up on the sand. A soft landing, hopefully. So, and for me, resilience is actually the challenge of trying to get back up on that horse. Reason being, I'm quite short. I'm vertically challenged. So getting back up on that horse, I'm 1.5 meters, so that's quite tiny.
Oh.
And usually, usually horses are like quite tall. And yeah, I've tried getting back on a horse before, and I remember how tough it was. So yeah, so resilience to me is basically getting knocked down or getting fall off, knocked down, anything to go downwards. But the important part is picking oneself up and getting back up again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love that metaphor too, because everything could be picture perfect and romantic and, horse riding along the beach, like that sounds beautiful. But stuff happens and we fall down, and it's our desire and that reaction and that just drive to get back up again and not stay down. So yeah, I love that. My next question is, when did you begin to realize, or just in general, how resilient you are? If you feel comfortable sharing one of the key moments for you.
Yeah, well, I didn't really know about resilience until like a year ago, like I said. I have quite a few moments if I really had to think back, highlighting a few moments, but I think for the purpose of today's sharing, yeah, I'll just come be vulnerable and share with everybody what's been happening. So one key moment would be that about 6 months ago, I was actually married, right? Like I'm 37, so married, no children. But I had the husband, I had the ring, I had the love nest, I had a home, a beautiful place, and we were just like starting to build some conversations about starting up a family. And during this time, I realized that I was actually dealing with some of my own demons with regards to starting a family. And I pushed on because I decided that if I do want to grow up and get ahead in life, then I can't live in fear, right? So I
Yeah,
went to therapy. Yeah, I can't
big
live in
word
fear.
right
It's
there.
really related to that. But I'm actually a naturally like quite fearful person. Like I do have a bit of a negative schema when it comes to these things. So I try very hard not to give in, and I try to be rational and stuff like that. So anyway, um we had a really good relationship. It looked like, you know, the perfect kind of relationship on Instagram. He loves me, I adore him, right? And something happened from the period of January to April, and it seemed like um, the relationship wasn't as solid as it seemed, and it felt very shaky. I didn't really know what was going on, and after a while, I began to be a little bit suspicious, and eventually, I found out that yeah, he was actually having an affair, and obviously, my world broke and crashed, and um, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard to yeah, accept. So I spent a lot of time on the floor crying in disbelief, in denial, in sadness. Yeah, so much crying, so much crying. My eyes were like so swollen. it
Hmm.
was it was it was painful.
And it's
And
reminding me of that metaphor you were even sharing just a few minutes ago. Like everything looked picture perfect, everything was storybook, and then all of a sudden you fall off the horse and you're on the ground thinking, how do I get back up from here?
yeah, exactly. Like I'm on the floor looking like, how am I gonna get back to who I used to be, and how much is life gonna change now? Because while all that's happening, I'm also grappling with I'm grappling with like well, I'm looking at my own demons right there on the floor, and I'm realizing like, oh, okay, maybe I chased perfection too much, or maybe, you know, I was dealing with tons of self-worth and self-doubt, and I didn't know who I was for a while there. My entire identity was um, I was basically really confused about my personal identity because I played the role of a filial daughter, a good wife. So, um, and I'm a type A kind of person, so I fit very well into boxes, right? And and I had to deal with not being in that box anymore. I had to deal with the insecurity of my identity being completely shaken, and thank God I was already in therapy because if I hadn't been in therapy, I swear um, I wouldn't have figured out how to um, talk about
Yeah, even find the
all
words
these things.
to express what you were going through.
Yes, and also like because I attended the School of Positive Psychology, I learned a lot before about a flourishing life, having PERMA, like the Martin Seligman's PERMA, flourishing life. So I wrote that down on my wall, and I was like, I need to get back. I need to get back there. But um, I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I just wrote it down, and I have like post-its on my wall, like post-its on
Yes.
my wall,
Yes.
just to keep me on track
Yes.
and make sure that I'm always moving.
Yes. That's a very common technique, by the way. Yeah.
Ah,
Just having
okay, good, good.
those visual reminders of the self-talk, because we need to change our self-talk a lot of times when we get stuck in that low place. It's those negative thoughts that keep repeating to ourselves, like, oh, you're a failure, or oh, you're worthless, or oh, you're unloved, and all of those things. And so a lot of the times, like, doing exactly what you're doing is a very common intervention that we teach, just to
Okay,
trigger your mind to start a new thought pattern.
cool. I tried the rubber band one. That didn't work for me.
Yeah.
The reminder where you wear a rubber band and then you snap yourself to like, hey,
Yeah.
don't go down that path. I
Yeah.
tried that. Didn't work.
Yeah.
It
I'm not.
hurt.
I'm not a fan of that one. Okay. So
Okay.
continue. So you were sharing about the low, right? Like how low you had gotten. When did you start realizing your resilience at that point in your life, which was relatively
Mm.
recently?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. So I was really low. And I actually went as far as to okay, so a little bit of context here. The word polyamory or polyamorous relationship
Right.
was actually brought up, yeah, was brought up by the ex. And um, I I thought I was being brave, so I actually went to research on the word polyamorous relationships, and I tried to see if this could be, something that I could live with or accept or have a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was part of me trying to figure out if this was how I was gonna get back up on the horse to
Right.
be open-minded, right? Um, of course, many people will be screaming now, like, no, no, or yes, you should. So it's really like dependent on myself, yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I did try to be open-minded and do research, and I listened to something Esther Perel, one of
Right.
the marriage therapists. She
Mm-hmm.
she actually is quite open-minded about open relationships and
Mm-hmm.
how one partner blah blah blah. So anyway, if you're actually interested, you can go and Google
Yeah.
her. But
Familiar
for me,
with her work. Mm-hmm.
so based on that, I was actually starting to see myself a little bit resilient already, meaning that the ideas that were coming to me to see how I could pick myself up and choosing the path for myself to move forward, that was one hint that I got. And then after a while, I was trying to figure out whether it was aligned with who I was as a person. Does it fit with my values? Because one thing I know about myself that will not be taken away from me, my identity, is that I'm a value-based person. So when I make decisions, I'm constantly thinking with my values to make sure that it's aligned with me, that everything I do is performed with integrity. It takes a little bit of time, but yes, integrity, kindness, compassion, and I'll always check with my social group to see support circle or my family, how it might affect them positively or negatively, and weigh that out. So yes, I'm a values based person. So I tried to see, if this was something that I could live with or do. And after a while, I was like, no, this isn't what I vision for myself. Like if I were to be in a relationship, I want that commitment. I'm not selfish. I just expect commitment because for a while, someone said I was selfish. And I was like, no, I don't feel like I'm being selfish. And it was a confusing period thereof.
So
And
So was that
mm,
the narrative kind of being placed on you by other people like because you weren't agreeing to go along with this open relationship or polyamory, then you were being labeled as selfish?
But it was only being labeled by one person.
Okay. The
Yeah.
ex.
So, yeah, of
Okay.
course, right?
Okay. Yeah. And so
So,
were you able to kind of see through that and be consistent with your own beliefs and values? Or was that something that you kind of felt were kind of rocked by as well?
well, I think it was for a while, because I was also torn between the idea of love and commitment. And I wanted to be loved so badly that I kind of looked, there was a point where I looked even beyond the betrayal because, like, hey, listen here. Like, I was telling self-talk, I was telling myself, like, hey, listen here. Like, this polyamory is something that we would move forward on, but look back and try to recognize that there was something that was done really wrongly
There.
to me,
Right, right,
right?
right.
And like I needed help to realize this. So I had my friends, my support circle, like remind me most of the time that at the end of the day, it is not just about moving forward. It's about recognizing
What
what has
happened
actually happened.
and what is,
Yeah.
and accepting
Yeah.
that what happened happened.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So the story, I think, started to change for myself. The self-talk started to change the moment that I recognized that moving forward at that point wasn't the key. It was more about accepting what had happened. And from there, it was a little bit easier to I won't say exactly feel resilient, but that was the anchor point um, of actually dealing with the entire healing process. Yeah, that would have been the beginning
Okay.
to.
So
Oh,
go ahead.
and one more thing, yeah, and one more thing that I actually also realized was that I have a big ego. Um, and I also came to a like I spent a lot of time in reflection because of healing and because I recognize that I have a big ego. I can't remember who asked me this question. I think it's definitely one of my girlfriends, but can't remember at this point who's very fuzzy. But um, what I remember is that this person was like, why don't you want to why don't you want to accept what's actually happened? And each time I would hear about the ex and possibly updates on his end about his new relationship, I would feel hurt. I would feel like pain, hurt, and angry. And after a while, I was like, wait a minute. Why am I feeling pain and angry and hurt? Why am I allowing this behavior? And after a while, I was like, it's not just me, but my ego is being bruised because it felt like constant reminders that I'm not good enough. And um, that what was sending me that message was basically my bruised ego. So when I managed to tame that part of my ego and recognize that it was just me not being able to be humble in that sense to accept what's happened, then um, yeah, I'm not sure how to explain this, but it was when I started to tame the ego, it was easier to be quiet and be
Mm-hmm.
more mindful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a key part of that taming process for you was just accepting what had happened versus, and a lot of us do this, like something bad happens or we get hurt or we get stressed out about something, and then we're just like, okay, we got to suck it up and keep on going, fight another day, live another day, without acknowledging what is actually occurring in our present. And so once you were able to like pause and recognize, okay, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling all this pent up anger because of something, and then accepting that, then you were able to address the issue, figure out how to solve your problems, figure out what you really needed to be able to move forward in a healing way versus just move forward and avoiding and neglecting what was happening. So moving forward with intention and, like you said earlier, integrity with your value system, with your personality, with your core, with what's important to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So where did you see examples of resilience, or where do you see examples of resilience?
Examples of resiliency. In my life, yep. Okay, so pertaining to this particular story that I'm sharing, I didn't set very big goals because there was so much pain to begin with. I guess I'm talking about resilience in relation to pain and betrayal, right? Examples would be small goals, learning to wake up alone.
Okay, first I'm gonna pause you. I don't want you to minimize what you did, because you're saying, oh, these are big things, but these are huge. Like, anyone who's watching, anyone who's been through a heartbreak knows how hard that is. Just to get yourself out of the bed the next morning after your whole life has been turned upside down. Like, that's no easy feat when you're heartbroken and you thought that your life was going to look a certain way, and then from one day to the next, everything just turns around. So don't minimize that, okay?
Okay. All right, okay. So yeah, I could wake up alone. I could get out of bed. I could look around the room that were initially filled with wonderful memories and like look around and go like, oh, it's not the best, but things have happened, things have changed. Brushing my teeth. Yes, because it's actually quite tough just to go walk to the toilet and brush my teeth, have a bath, comb my hair. So I gave myself like a few like pats on the back for the smallest things, and then the next challenge would be to go have breakfast. Okay, so this is hard. The ex and I, we love avocado, right? And I actually personally really like making breakfast for my loved ones. So I had a couple of avocados during the breakup. I had a couple of avocados in the fridge that I looked at, but I just could not eat them. So I ended up tossing them away. And the moment that I could actually eat avocado, I know it's so silly, right?
No, it's not, because it's a symbol. It represents something.
Yes. So the day that I actually ate an avocado was one day that I realized I am on my journey to healing, because I can now eat that avocado without crying. Yes, there may be memories, but I'm creating new memories for myself, with new people and new things.
Yes.
And that was like a step up for me.
Yes. That's beautiful. Yep. So you're touching on this a little bit, and I want you to go a little bit deeper on what are some of the things, like how have you been able to strengthen your resilience over time?
Right. Okay. So it's a lot of internal work, right? But because it's a lot of internal work to do reflection and meditation. Takes a lot of commitment and time, and to actually what I've been saying recently is it's important when you feed your brain. So previously when I scroll, like I'll just take social media, because actually one of the first things I do get out of bed would be to look at Instagram and see like what's up.
Guilty.
Right? So
yeah,
it's so normal. Though we shouldn't be doing that. It's not contributing to our success. But at this point, I think so previously, like I would see friends posting photos, perfect relationship pictures,
Right.
food. That's what my previous feed would have shown. And I think immediately during that period of pain and breakup, or pain and healing,
I like
I
that.
chose, yeah, I chose to change the stuff that was on my feed. I started to follow yourself. I started to follow other channels like Mindful. I can't remember the
Oh,
top of my head, like the
Mindful
channel.
NFT, I think.
Yes,
Yes.
Mindful
Yes,
MFT,
I love her. Yeah.
self-awareness, truth. Well, point is, I basically changed the things that were on my feed to actually help me anchor myself, to anchor my thoughts, to make sure that I don't go back looking backwards, that
Mm-hmm.
I actually look
For
forward.
yeah.
Yeah, look forward, because everyone was like, don't look back. If you look back, you're just gonna go like 3 steps behind. And of course, when you're just starting to like get back up on that horse, you're gonna trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I also like I had to make sure that I wouldn't expose myself to too much negativity. I also tried to stay away from anything that would harm my healing process.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah. So
Instagram would have been
a
too.
key
Yeah.
thing that you're sharing right now is how important it is for us to take control of our environment, because our environment,
Mm,
it's what holds a lot of the triggers that we have. Like, we all have our internal triggers and our thoughts and memories that come up and, kind of backtrack us sometimes, but we also have influence over our environment. And so you were very purposeful and intentional about ensuring that your environment, whether it was digital or whether it was physical with the sticky notes, were things and triggers that were in alignment with your goals and with where you wanted to go and how you wanted to continue to grow. So that's beautiful.
yep. Yeah.
Um,
Sounds like a lot of work now that we're talking about all this, eh?
yeah, and I like this too, because sometimes we don't take the time to sit back and reflect and pay attention to, oh my gosh, I did all of that. I went through all of
Hmm.
that. Sometimes we just get so busy and so, focused on the goal. Okay, I got to get back up on the horse, that we don't realize like all of the work that we've done already. So,
I'm waving. I'm waving at Jamie. Jamie noticed.
oh,
My cousin.
oh, okay.
She's in a huge. She's like a huge pillar. Like when we talk about environment.
Right.
Yes, she's one key person in my life that has been a huge contributor to my um positive self-talk. She will remind me like, hey, you're going the wrong way. Change it. Change
Right.
how you're thinking.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and
shout
having
out to Jamie.
yeah, having that social environment that's healthy too, like being able to pay attention to, okay, who's feeding my soul in a healthy way and who's
Yeah.
filling me with toxicity. And that was part of this
Yeah.
process that you were going through with the whole
Completely.
breakup,
Yeah.
and then figuring out, okay, what souls am I going to allow to invest most of my time in and have that influence over me.
Yes, completely. And I feel that this is very, very key to building resilience, actually, because if you don't, or if I didn't have the right support circle or environment, I would not be able to be self-aware, first of all, and I would not have been able um, um, to recognize toxicity. I would not have been able to get myself out into thinking like someone just wrote here like I've witnessed post-traumatic
Yeah, I was
growth.
going to point that
And
out. I love that. I love that.
yeah, and one of the things that I think maybe earlier I didn't mention this, but one of the things was to accept myself that I do have post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's I didn't want to minimize it for myself. I just accepted it full on. And then when I accepted that, then I started to realize that, oh, but I can move forward, with everything, I can move forward. I just need to figure out how. And yeah, and basically building the right environment, feeding my brain with the right things, talking to the right people, telling myself the right stories. All these are key tools and stuff that we need to do to be resilient. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So you kind of maybe answered this already, but how would you summarize why is it important to develop resilience in your opinion?
Oh man, yeah, I think I've said it a few times. Okay. Oh, why is it important, right? Okay. I think because in general we're human, right? Everyone's on a learning journey. We're all a work in progress. And we're always everyone's different. We all have different values. We're all at different levels. Some of us are creators, some of us are supporters. Some of us are everyone's different, but end of the day, self-worth and self-love are very important to developing good confidence, if that's the right word.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at my post it here, like self-confidence. And I listen to stuff like Mel Robbins about taking action in life,
Mm-hmm.
and how every time you take action, you actually build a skill, and then you develop self-confidence. And then when you're challenged and you have to like get back up on that horse, in my words, get back up on that horse, then you would already have that skill set and the confidence that you will be able to get up. So why is it so important? It's for growth and development, personal development. And we only have ourselves to depend on, and we deserve to give ourselves the life that is beautiful and fabulous. And if we shortchange ourselves, then time on earth is wasted. So yeah, we need to live a meaningful and purposeful life with good intent.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I feel resilience is important. We get knocked down, but we can get up, and
Yes.
then we can be better contributors to everyone around us.
Yes.
Mm.
And that is like in it's pairing up beautifully with Crafty Curly Ray. She wrote, yes, different trauma, but your healing process reminds me of my own, helps me feel less alone. Thank you. And so
Yeah.
that perfectly segues into my final question as we start wrapping up is, who is it that you hope your story of resilience touches?
Anyone. I had a deep think about like what's happening, and when it first happened, I obviously, because I'm a natural supporter, contributor kind of person, so I wanted my story to impact like other women and let them know like, hey, you don't have to be stuck in a relationship that doesn't serve you, and I wanted to have like all these support groups, but I didn't heal myself enough at that point in time. But now, because of this opportunity to share, I genuinely hope that my story, my growth, my contribution would help anyone realize that struggling is real, it happens, and we're not alone. We just need to reach out to the right people, and someone's going to hold our hand and get us out of the darkness. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being courageous, for being
Hmm.
vulnerable, for sharing your story with us. And so many of us could relate on so many different levels. And I think Crafty Curly Ray said it perfectly. Like, the context of the story or the context of the trauma or the heartbreak might be different, but a lot of us can relate to those emotions and to those, just that feeling of just being knocked down on the floor, having the wind taken out of us, and then figuring out, okay, how do I get back up again? How do I even get out of bed? How do I brush my
Hmm.
teeth? And then you being able to look back and reflect on all of the things you had to intentionally do to get back up on the horse, and like you said, get back up in a stronger way, get back up being wiser with a better sense of vision, because now you could see those red flags, you could see those warning
Yeah.
signs. You have a much you know, like if let's say you had eyeglasses on, like your prescription got enhanced, like you see much more clearly.
Like perspective, if it an enhanced perspective, and that experience actually changed that entire perspective of
Yes,
things. Yeah.
yes, yes.
So again, it's about growth and developing different values and skills. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to be wrapping up unless anyone just had a last comment or question they wanted to share. Feel free to leave it in the comments. And then if not, we look forward to seeing you again. If you're interested in sharing your story of resilience with me, shoot me a DM or write a little comment in one of the on one of my posts or something, and just say you're interested, and I'll be interviewing more of you soon. So thank you again, Stacy. And if people wanted to connect with you, how could they do that?
Oh, okay. Right now, I think I'm on Instagram. My handle is at sugar slide bottom. And yeah, I forgot to mention one thing.
Okay.
There's one other, yeah, I actually meant I don't journal. I hate writing. So one of the things that I use is that I actually have a podcast.
Oh,
It's yeah, I have a podcast. It's called Pillow Talk with Stace. Okay, I just find the name a little bit cheesy, but it's a work in progress. It might change later on. But anyway, it's Pillow Talk with Stace, and initially I started doing this for a 30-day a challenge to myself to actually audio journal my process, my growth process, and it's become very cathartic for me to have a space that I can go talk at and share at, pretty much like a journal. And I go back and I listen to the things that I've been challenged with like days before, and pat myself on the back sometimes for some of the growth, and track my own progress. So yeah, if you're interested to ever find me, you can find me on Instagram at sugar slide bottom, or at the podcast where the channel is called Pillow Talk with Stace. Yeah.
okay. Beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you appreciated this. And until next time, bye.
All right. Bye.